Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about the location listener. The location listener is a class used for receiving notifications from the location manager, which has been discussed in the previous video, with the location change. So, when the user change his location, automatically the location listener get notified that the user location has been changed, and this location listener will store the longitude and the latitude of the new location for that user. This location listener has four functions. The first one is on location change, and this function is executed by default when the user changes his location. Here, when the user enable or disable his provider, which means if the user switch on the service of the GPS or switch off the service. And here, when the status of the GPS is changed from on to off and vice versa. Now, how can we connect the location listener with the location manager? To connect your location manager with the location listener, you have a function called request location updates. This function is used to connect the location manager with the location listener. And this function has four parameters. Number one, what is the location provider? You can use either GPS or network. Then, when should the location, which is the longitude and latitude, change it? Which means if you need it according to the duration, you can set something like each 5 seconds, each 10 seconds, I need to get updated for this location. Of course, also, you can get updated according to the distance, which means each 100 meter, each 200 meters, and so on. And the last one is the name of the location listener. Of course, if you don't need to use the duration and distance, put 0 for both duration and distance. Let's try now to make example which get the location of the user device. So, in this case, let's back to our application, and this is our first example. Let's remove this one. Of course, we don't need also this code. And now we need two text view. This is the first text view to get the longitude, and I need another text view to get the latitude. And here, the other text view for the latitude. And I'm going to call this text view as TV underscore LON. Yes. And the other one, TV underscore lat, which means longitude and latitude. Now, how can I get the longitude and latitude when the user device has changed? At first, you should define the location manager object, as we have discussed in the previous video. Then, we should define another object. Let's call it listener, for example, and it is of a class called location listener, and then use this curly bracket. This object is used to call the overridden method, which is for method which has been discussed in the PowerPoint slide on location change, on provider enable, and so on. So just put the pointer here, and in by keyboard use Alt Enter, or of course instead of Alt Enter you can use this symbol to select implement member. Then select all those functions and click on OK. In this case, you have called the for function, which is on location change, then on status change, on provider enable, and of course on provider disable. So as you can see here, we have those four functions. I'm going to use this one, which is on location change. This function is executed by default when the user device location has been changed. Now, it will store the new location here in this variable, which is P0. Let's remove this question mark just to not allow the null value. And I'm going to write something like tvlon dot text equal p0 dot longitude dot toString, which means get the new longitude and show it inside this text view. And because longitude is of data type double, I have casted it to string. Also, according to the latitude equal p0 dot latitude dot toString. So in this case, you have printed the longitude on the first text view and the latitude on the second text view. Then the last thing, how can we connect our manager with the listener? In this case, I'm going here before the last two curly bracket, and I'm going to use this function, manager dot request location updates. But before you use this function, you have to define the required permission. For this example, to get the location of the user, you should use two permissions. So let's go here to the manifest, open this file, which is Android manifest, and here before the application tag, you can use something like uses permission, which is called access course location, and another one uses permission access find location. So to get the location of the user, you should use those two permissions, which is the access course location and the access find location. Now, when we go again to our Kotlin code, at first, the first one, define the provider. In this example, I am going to define the GPS provider. Now, I don't need to add the times, and also I don't need to add the duration, and the last thing will be the listener. Okay, so those are the four parameters. Those are the four parameters, which is the GPS provider, 0 here, also 0f here, and listener. Of course, don't put mean time and mean distance because they are by default. Now, put the pointer here, and again, select this one, and add here, add suppress missing permission. So now, everything is ready. The example is ready to get the location of the user. So let's run this example now, and let's click on OK. Now, how can we send longitude and latitude? Here from the emulator, just click here, and you can send any number you need here from longitude and latitude from the location section. Let's suppose we are going to send something like anything, for example, and here 17 point any number, and click on send. Yes, as you can see here, we have got the location of the user. Of course, when you test this example on physical mobile, you don't need to send any location because the mobile will get your location by default. So in this video, we have talked about how can we get the location of the mobile by using the class location listener. See you in the next video.